Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So welcome to our ongoing study of Srimad Bhagavatam. We're on Canto 9, and tonight we're looking at chapter number 20, the dynasty of Puru. So, who remembers? Who is Puru? Mahaprabhu, do you remember? Vrindavani, can you tell us who is Puru?
Sorry, please say that again. Tell us who's...
Who is Puru? We're studying chapter 20. It's the dynasty of Puru. Do you remember who is Puru?
Yeah, Puru is the ancestors of the Pandavas and the Vrishnis and so many people, the Yadus. All of them come from the line of Puru, as far as I remember.
Where does Puru come from?
Puru? Yeah, Yayati's son.
Yes, from Yayati.
He's the one who accepted the old age from his dad.
Yes.
He's the one who accepted the old age.
Yes. Yayati had 5 sons. 2 from Devayani and 3 from Sharmista. Where was Puru? Where did he come from?
I'm assuming Puru, but I'm not sure. I'm from Sharmista, but I'm not sure.
Yes, right, from Sharmista. Good guess. And he was the oldest or the youngest or the middle one?
He was the youngest, because all the other brothers didn't take the old age, but he did.
Yes, right. Puru was the youngest. And because he took the father's old age, when the father came back, he made Puru the emperor. He made him the king over all the other brothers. Although he was the youngest, he was given the senior-most position, because he had surrendered his youth to his father. So he became the emperor, although he was the youngest of the 5 sons of Yayati. Right? Okay, so we're going to hear tonight about the history. Yes?
Maharaj, may I intervene, Maharaj? Because I have a doubt. Actually, Yadu Maharaj is the wisest of all the sons, because he perfectly knows the purpose of life. So he realized that the human form of body has been awarded by the Lord for utilizing in his services in Krishna Bhakti. So he intelligently decided and accordingly denied his father not to share the old age and invalidity of Yayati Maharaj with him. So he must be eldest, he must be, in the spiritual perspective, he must be recognized eldest. How Puru was recognized eldest as he served the father? Please.
Well, I told that Puru, you see, Yadu did not accept the father's old age, but Puru did. So the father was obliged to Puru. Yayati wanted to enjoy his wives for some more time. And Yadu said he didn't want to accept the father's old age because he wanted to do other things. He had other things but Puru took the father's old age. Now Yadu was a more spiritual person, And for him to accept the throne, to be the overall, it means a lot of headaches. It's not good for spiritual practice. People who are serious about self-realization, they will avoid accepting that kind of responsibility. Because when you get involved in running the kingdom, looking after all the affairs, then it takes all your energy, it takes all your time. You don't have time to concentrate on self-realization. So Yadu didn't want to get entangled in that.
Right, yes, Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj, it is appropriately fine in that understanding.
Okay. Thank you for question.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go ahead here with chapter number 20. So, Sukadeva Goswami tells Maharaj Parikshit, I shall describe the dynasty of Puru, in which you were born. Maharaj Parikshit was born in this dynasty, in which many saintly kings appeared, and from which many dynasties of Brahmanas began. So just like Mataji Vrindavani said, many kings like the Pandavas and so on, they were all connected to the dynasty coming from Puru. So Prabhupada's purport, there are many historical incidents by which we can understand that from Kshatriyas many Brahmanas have been born, and that from Brahmanas many Kshatriyas have been born. The Lord himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Chatur Varnam Mayashristam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by me. Therefore, regardless of the family in which one takes birth, when one is qualified with the symptoms of a particular section, he is to be described accordingly. Yo lakshanam proktam. One's place in the Varna divisions of society is determined according to one's symptoms or qualities. This is maintained everywhere in the Shastra. Birth is a secondary consideration. The first consideration is one's qualities and activities. So, in the very first purport, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out this, that Kshatriya kings, they may be more Brahminical than Kshatriyas, and some Brahmanas are more Kshatriya than Brahman. The birth is not the criterion, the important thing is the qualities. Vishwamitra, for example, was a Kshatriya, but he became a Brahmarishi. And Parasurama was born in the Brahmana family, but his activities were like the Kshatriya. So, second text, King Janmajaya was born of this dynasty of Puru. Janmajaya's son was Prachinvan, and his son was Pravira. Therefore, thereafter, Pravira's son was Manushu, and from Manushu came the son named Charupada. Right, there's so many names, different kings are mentioned, the father and his son, the king and his son, and like that is mentioned, goes on. for a few verses like that. You can see text number 5 describes about how there was one king, Vaneyu. The oldest was Rudrasva. Rudrasva had 10 sons. And then it said, as the 10 senses, which are products of the universal life, act under the control of life, these 10 sons of Rudrasva acted under Rudrasva's full control. All of them were born of the Apsara named Gritarchi. So, you see, mother was a Apsara, father was a Kshatriya king. He had 10 sons. And then, text number 6, Riteyu had a son named Ratinava, who had 3 sons named Sumati, Dhruva, and Aprirata. Aprirata had only 1 son, whose name was Kanva. The son of Kanva was Madatiti, whose son, all Brahmanas, were headed by Prashkana. The son of Ratinava, named Sumati, had a son named Rabi. Maharaj Dusmanta is well known as the son of Rebi. So now we're going to hear about this Maharaj Dushmanta, the son of Rebi. So there's a Lila taking place here. It's describing about Maharaj Dushmanta, how one day he had gone to the forest again hunting. The Kshatriya kings, they had to do that. They had to go hunting. It was their duty to exercise and to hunt the wild animals if some animals would disturb the peace. If there was some tiger which was killing and attacking people in the village, the king would have to come and go and kill that tiger. So it happened, King Dushmanta had gone to the forest to hunt and was very much fatigued. And at that time he approached the residence of Kanva Muni. But when he got to the residence of Kanva Muni, he saw a most beautiful woman who looked exactly like the goddess of fortune, and who sat there illuminating the entire ashram by her effulgence. The king was naturally attracted by her beauty, and therefore he approached her, accompanied by some of his soldiers, and spoke to her. Oh, here you go, you see the kings, they meet these beautiful women in the forest, and they get trapped, they get problems. They don't think about the situation, what's happening, how is this woman here. They just see the beautiful woman and they become attracted. Of course, this woman was very special, that any man would be attracted to her, because this woman was such a beautiful woman. And so Maharaj Dushmanta, although he was hunting and he was tired and hungry, but when he saw this beautiful woman, he became very enlivened, and he forgot all about his tiredness, and he became very anxious to develop his relationship with this young woman. it's probably, as it says here, he was of course very much attracted because of lusty desires. And thus he inquired from her as follows, in a joking mood. That's a mistake, to joke with women. Very dangerous, you see, that's the beginning of his entanglement with this woman. He's joking with her. So he says to her, "Oh, beautiful lotus-eyed woman, who are you? Whose daughter are you? What purpose do you have in this solitary forest? Why are you staying here?" Why is he talking to the woman like this? He should go and find out why, who's there with the woman. She's not going to be there alone. Anyway, Maharaj Dusmanta talks more to her. He says, "Oh, most beautiful one, it appears to my mind that you must be the daughter of a Kshatriya. Because I belong to the Puru dynasty, my mind never endeavors to enjoy anything irreligiously." So by talking in this way, Maharaj Dusmanta is actually indirectly, as Prabhupada describes in the purport, that he's expressing his desire to marry this girl. That she appeared to his mind to be the daughter of some Kshatriya king. And then that way, if she's the daughter of a Kshatriya king, then she's suitable to be a wife for this Kshatriya king. Maharaj Dusmanta was a Kshatriya, so he needs a Kshatriya wife. And he's met this girl and he's convinced she must be the daughter of a Kshatriya. Alright, Prabhupada reveals her name in the purport, that her name is Shakuntala. So, Shakuntala replies to the words of Maharaj Dusmanta, and she tells him, she said, "I am the daughter of Vishwamitra." So, Vishwamitra, of course, was originally a Kshatriya. Later on, he went on to become a Brahmarishi. But at the beginning of life, he was Kshatriya. And then Shakuntala said, "My mother, Menaka, left me in the forest, O hero. The most powerful saint, Kanva Muni, knows all about this. Now, let me know, how may I serve you?" So, Shakuntala has revealed her situation, that she's the daughter of a great personality, Vishwamitra, and probably Dusmanta's heard the name of Vishwamitra. And the mother, Menaka, she's from the heavenly planets. She's not an ordinary woman. She's from the heavenly planets, from the court of Indra. And somehow, Menaka left her in the forest. Didn't take care of her child. And then this saint Kanva Muni comes along and he finds the baby, and he brought the baby to his ashram, and he brought up Shakuntala. So Shakuntala is telling Maharaj Dusmanta that although she never saw or knew her father or mother, Kanva Muni knew everything about her, and she had heard from him that she was the daughter of Vishwamitra and her mother was Menaka, and it was her mother Menaka who had left her in the forest. So Kanva Muni told Shakuntala about her origin, about her parents, and probably Shakuntala, now on hearing who her parents are, she probably wants to go and be with them and pass her days with them. Anyway, we will hear what happens in this Leela. So Shakuntala begins to glorify the king. She's attracted by the king. She can understand this man is a noble personality. He's got his assistants and his secretary and his ministers with him. He's not alone. He's got his support. So Shakuntala says, "O king with eyes like the petals of a lotus, kindly come sit down and accept whatever reception we can offer. We have a supply of Nivara rice that you may kindly take. And if you so desire, stay here without hesitation." So Shakuntala is inviting the king to come and receive whatever items they have for the reception. Nothing very grand, of course, but still some attempt is made to offer a reception. Hearing that the sage is from Vishwamitra, then they can understand he's very powerful. So nobody wants to offend him, everyone's offering respect. However, Dushmanta replies, "O Shakuntala with beautiful eyebrows, you have taken your birth in the family of the great saint Vishwamitra, and your reception is quite worthy of your family. Aside from this, the daughters of a king generally select their own husbands." So, Vishwamitra was known by King Dushmanta, and he tells Shakuntala that, yeah, your reception is very nice. It's quite appropriate because of your family. That you're in this, your birth in this family is very fortunate. But then he says that the daughters of a king generally select their own husbands. Better than having the husband select them, they let the girl select the man she wants to marry. This is called, of course, the Swayamvara ceremony. Swayamvara. And Queen Rukmini had a Swayamvara ceremony, and Draupadi had Swayamvara ceremony, and Sita in Ram Leela, she also had Swayamvara ceremony. So where the girl is especially qualified, then the kings would arrange like that. The parents would arrange a Swayamvar ceremony so that the girl could pick the man she considered most appropriate to be her husband. So Shakuntala is indicating she's asking Maharaj Dushmanta to stay there. In other words, she wants him to be her husband. And he'd already expressed his desire that he wanted to marry Shakuntala. And so the agreement is made there. The two of them have agreed to marriage. Although Dushmanta tells her that because you're the daughter of a king, you could select your own husband. So there's different styles of marriage. Marriage may be by agreement or by selecting one's own husband in a competition. It said there are 8 different kinds of marriage, and marriage by agreement is called Gandharva marriage. Usually the parents will select a husband or wife for their daughter or son. But Gandharva marriage takes place by personal selection. Still, although marriage by personal selection or by agreement took place in the past, we find no such thing as divorce by disagreement. Of course, divorce by disagreement took place among low-class men, but marriage by agreement was found even in the very highest classes, especially in the royal Kshatriya families. So Maharaj Dusmanta's acceptance of Shakuntala as his wife was sanctioned by Vedic culture. And the next verse is going to tell us how the marriage took place. So marriage, women generally should be married, but to arrange suitable husbands is not very easy. The woman may be very well qualified, but to get a man qualified, that is difficult sometimes. Man is responsible for the maintenance of the home and to provide. He should also beget children in the womb of the wife and take care of the wife, give her a home, provide for her needs, give her jewelry and clothing to cover her body, give her suitable food, and satisfy her desires. So that's the man's duty. The woman's duty is to serve the husband and to take care of the children, to keep the house neat and clean, and to arrange for more modern styling, taking care of the children, keeping the house clean and satisfying the husband, always being ready. When the husband comes, the woman should be well decorated and she should be nicely dressed, and this way she can welcome her husband home. This is something of the duties of a woman. So marriage is like that man and woman will cooperate together in Krishna consciousness to help each other to progress so that they can go back to Godhead. So marriage is a contract that a man and a woman will cooperate together for the service of Krishna. All right, going ahead, text number 16. Sakuntala responded to Maharaj Dusmanta's proposal with silence, and in this way the agreement was complete. So then the king, who knew the laws of marriage, immediately married her by chanting the Vedic pranav Omkara, in accordance with the marriage ceremony as performed among the Gandharvas. So they were in the forest. There was not a lot of opportunity to arrange everything very nicely, but Maharaj Dusmanta was eager to accept this girl as his wife, and they arranged. They chanted Om, and they joined their hands together, and in this way they're considered married. So Prabhupada explains, religious principles are meant to give the blessings and mercy of Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he is personally present in sexual desires that are not contrary to religious principles. So men and women have to associate according to religious principles. And Prabhupada said, in our Krishna consciousness movement, we allow marriage on the basis of religious principles. But the combination, the sexual combination of men and women as friends is irreligious and is not allowed. So men and women are not allowed to be friends. They can be married, but they cannot just simply be friends with each other. At least not for the purpose of sex. Right? Prabhupada is talking about the sexual combination. So, young people think, no need to marry, we'll just enjoy sex together without marriage. So that is not allowed in Krishna consciousness. Text 17 continues, describes about Maharaj Dusmanta. It said, he never discharged semen without a result. So he had married Shakuntala. So that night he placed his semen in the womb of Queen Shakuntala. And in the morning he returned to his palace. He got up and went back to his palace, back to his kingdom. But in due course of time, Shakuntala gave birth to a son. Right? This is the situation, men and women, they combine together. The woman is the one who gets pregnant. The man doesn't get pregnant. It's the woman who gets pregnant. She has to carry the child. She has to give birth to the child. She has to raise the child. The man doesn't do that. The man may enjoy the union with the woman. He may enjoy conceiving the child in the womb of the woman, but he doesn't get to enjoy the affairs of, he won't get to enjoy the affairs of bringing up a child. So Shakuntala gave birth, but Maharaj Dusmanta had gone. He just got up in the morning, went off to the palace, and left the woman in the forest. So in the forest, Kamva Muni performed all the ritualistic ceremonies for the newborn child. When the child is born, we should perform different samskars. Just like we have Anaprasna, and then there's another samskar when they begin education. When the child is just born, comes out of the womb, then there's another samskar. And while the child's still within the womb, there are samskars. So these samskars, these ritualistic ceremonies, they're all beneficial. They're all for the welfare of the child. So in this particular case, the boy who was conceived by Maharaj Dusmanta in the womb of Shakuntala, he became so powerful that he could capture a lion and play with the lion. He's living in the forest and he grows up with the lions and he makes friends with them and plays with them. So Shakuntala, the best of beautiful women, along with her son, right? Shakuntala, her mother was Menika and her father was Vishwamitra. So, along with Shakuntala's son, Maharaj Dusmanta's son, whose strength was insurmountable and who was a partial expansion of the Supreme Godhead, approached her husband Dusmanta. So, Shakuntala knows who is the father of her child. She only had the relationship, she only married Maharaj Dusmanta. She didn't have a relationship with any other man. So she's there in the ashram and she's wondering what to do. So she gave birth to the son. The son was very powerful. So the people in the palace, they told her, you should take this child, go with this child, go to see the father of the child. The father of the child, of course, Maharaj Dusmanta. No, Shakuntala and the boy, they're not living in the palace. They were living in the jungle, right? They were living in the jungle, but they could understand that there has to be a father. That Shakuntala was not born without a father. There has to be a father coming to relate to this action. So Shakuntala goes to the palace with the child, but the king refuses to accept his wife and son. He said, no, I don't know them. Who is this? I don't know. He tried to deny them. Now Shakuntala and the child, they were irreproachable. They had not done anything wrong. But when they came there and the king was denying them, at that time there was a voice from the sky and an omen was heard by everyone present. Right? Did you hear some omens? Where else were there omens spoken about? Where did you hear about omens being spoken?
For the Krishna's birth, Maharaj.
Yes, right. What happened?
When the Kamsa was taking the Devaki and Vasudeva after the marriage, then the woman spoke from the sky that the 8th child of Devaki and Vasudeva will kill Kamsa.
Yes, very good. Thank you. That was one omen. Any other omens?
When Maharaj Krishna left the kingdom of Hastinapur, then Udhishthira Maharaj was bewildered, inquiring about Krishna's presence, etc. He sent Arjun. By that time, some women were also manifested.
Some women were what?
Women, Yudhishthira Maharaj was perplexed, yes.
Why?
Because Krishna is away from him. Krishna, when Krishna was present with them, they were very delighted and very ecstatically delighted. When Krishna left them, they became very perplexed in his absence. And
Who became perplexed? Maharaj Yudhishthira?
Udhishthira, yes. So he sent Arjun to know about him. So then Arjun returned with disappointment and lamentation. They just their story.
Okay. Any other omens? Marriages? Yes? Go.
Also, Rukmini, when she were kidnapped by Krishna, also started some tremble part of her body. So this is also an omen.
But she trembled, why? What was happening?
She trembled. Rukmini, he started to tremble one part of the body in the anticipation of Krishna kidnapping her.
Okay. I don't know any omen. I didn't hear any omen though. There was no omen spoken. Just trembling of the body. She could feel Krishna's coming to deliver her. Huh? Is it like that? Yes? Gora, are you there?
Yes. But it say that also that I think that when the right part of the body is tremble, something good is going to happen with the male, and if the left part of the body is tremble in a female, something good are going to happen. So,
So what happened with Rukmini?
Krishna in the near future will kidnap her and make her his.
Okay, thank you. So omens, do you believe in omens?
Yes, Maharaj. Even Yudhishthira had the omens as well when Krishna had departed. He could, he felt trembling, like Prabhu just said, trembling on his body. He felt like cows were passing him on the wrong side. I don't remember which side or which side was the wrong side. Maybe the left side. So yeah, I think that there are some evidences there in the Bhagavatam of different omens. And obviously there was the Akashvani that Kamsa was given about the eighth son killing him as well. That was.
Have you ever had any omens in your life? Have you ever made any attempt to avoid any inauspicious omen or something? You know?
Yeah, I have had like trembling on one side of my body. We were trying to book plane tickets once to come to India. And then some random guy called us 2 days later, giving us really cheap tickets. Like, they were only £300 each. And we were like, it's too good to be true. And so we weren't going to do it. And then he was like, my husband was like, let's just pay for it. And every time we tried to pay for it, I'd get trembling on one side of the body. And then we found out a few weeks later that it was a scam.
No.
So, yeah, I feel like that.
So had you paid?
No, we didn't, because every time we went, we were like, okay, come on, let's just pay. I know it sounds too good to be true, but, we were looking for tickets, so maybe they did spot us online. But then the first time, there was trembling of the body. Second time, then the third time, we were like, okay, let's not go ahead and pay for this, because it's just too dodgy. And, then it came in the news. That person came in the news that they'd sent, had so many flights that they'd booked, in, what's it called, the word? In a fraudulent way. They didn't actually exist.
So you were saved, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Prabhupada was cautious about some things, like he didn't like to begin a journey on Thursday afternoon. To begin a journey on Thursday afternoon was considered very inauspicious. So he wouldn't begin. But if he had to, if they'd already arranged some flight or something like that, and he had to move somewhere on a Thursday, what he would do, he'd have the bag packed in the morning, and put the bag outside the door, and that way it was like he's already left. So Prabhupada was cautious about these things. And he liked, things like an empty bucket is not good, but if the bucket's full with water, that's a good sign. So he liked to see auspicious things like a bucket of water. That was auspicious. So omens, just like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear about when the Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were going to take birth, you could see a lot of bad omens. Meteors falling from the sky, trembling of the earth. And similarly, before the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty, there were many inauspicious omens. There was this red halo around the sun, and there was some other inauspicious things, like the earth trembling. So when the inhabitants of Dwarka, the Yadu dynasty, when they saw the inauspicious omens, then they consulted with Lord Krishna. And at that time, Lord Krishna sent everyone to Prabhashetra over on the mainland, and to go there, to the temple there, and perform a lot of rituals to counteract the inauspicious things. So all the devotees, all the men, they went over to Prabhakshetra on the mainland, and then they did rituals, and they offered everything for the service of Krishna, for the service of the Lord. But still, of course, you know, they became intoxicated, and they fought with each other, and they annihilated each other. So the inauspicious omens were an indication of what was going to happen. So we do believe in these things. So that Shakuntala and the boy who was going to be Bharat, they came to see Maharaj Dushmanta. And Maharaj Dushmanta knew that this woman Shakuntala and the boy were his wife and son. But because they came from outside, and because the people in the kingdom didn't know them, in the beginning he didn't accept them. But Shakuntala was so chaste that an omen from the sky declared the truth so that others could hear. And when everyone heard the omen that Shakuntala and her child were really the king's wife and son, then the king gladly accepted them. So because because the voice from the sky told the truth, the king was happy that his wife and son were being appreciated by natural phenomena.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, there was a doubt. In India, generally it is said that when a cat crosses the way, road or something, then when a cat crosses, then we should not move ahead or something like that. So should we, after in Krishna consciousness, should we believe these thoughts, or should not we consider these thoughts as to be followed?
Well, because we're devotees, and if we're fully engaged in Krishna's service, then that's auspicious. Whatever we're doing for Lord Krishna, that is auspicious. And we don't have to worry about these kind of inauspicious things. Right? Because we're doing service for Krishna. So all the inauspiciousness is changed.
And this cat crying?
No? This word crane?
Cat, C-A-T, cat.
Oh, cat. What about the cat?
Crying.
Oh, crying.
Some inauspicious sounds so people say this is very inauspicious, and should we, then of course if we are devotee then we should not consider it.
Right. We don't worry about these things. It's not very important for us as devotees. We take shelter of Lord Krishna. Wherever there is Krishna and the holy name, that is auspicious. Everything else is inauspicious. If there's no Krishna consciousness, if there's no thought of Lord Krishna, then that is inauspicious. But wherever there's a chanting of the holy name, wherever the devotees are preaching the glories of the Lord, that is auspicious.
Okay, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
So for us as devotees, what is auspicious and inauspicious, that is on the material platform, under the control of the three modes of nature. But for devotees, we're on the spiritual platform. We have transcended the material nature. We've come to the higher level. So we're not affected by things which are auspicious or inauspicious.
Then Maharaj, one question again arises that then right now you spoke that Srila Prabhupada considered that on Thursday second half journey should not be, like he avoided journeys on second half. Then Srila Prabhupada is of course a great devotee. So why he considered this like auspicious, inauspicious?
Well, sometimes he would do it, right? You have to do what's there for Krishna's service, right? There's ways to counteract. If something is inauspicious, you can make it auspicious. How do you make it auspicious? Simply by chanting the holy name. Wherever there's a chanting of the holy name, it becomes auspicious. Now, why did Prabhupada do these things? Well, he would do both. He would chant the holy name, and he would also make some attempt to counteract whatever is inauspicious. So you can do these things, but it's not absolutely necessary. Prabhupada would do it sometimes, not every time, but sometimes he thought to do it. Because sometimes we see the material energy is acting against us. Sometimes we get a lot of trouble, a lot of problems, a lot of opposition. So when it's like that, then at these times, then we have to be more careful, and we have to take more caution to overcome the material energy. We have to be very strict with ourselves in our regulative principles, and we also take care to avoid the inauspicious situations which are there.
Okay, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
Ultimately, we depend on Krishna. Right? Lord Krishna is the supreme controller. So we're depending on him. And if we're in Krishna consciousness, then we have nothing to worry about. It's the people who are not in Krishna consciousness have to worry about these things. So Prabhupada, sometimes he would do these things, just to keep everything very safe. Why should we give Maya a chance to give us trouble? If we can avoid all these little things, if we can overcome, then we should. But we don't make a great endeavor to overcome it. But if there's something which we can do, which is easily done without too much trouble, then we will do it to make the situation auspicious. Right?
Yes, Maharaj.
Maharaj, I have question regarding this.
Yeah?
That when Lord Krishna departed this material world, that time Yudhishthira Maharaj, he saw inauspicious situation take place. Like fox barking, dog barking, and unnatural thing started happening.
Yes.
And when I studied Bhakti B.V.V. Module 1 in Mayapur Institute, That time also it is mentioned in Prabhupada purport also that Mataji Sumati Vishaka Mataji now just she bring this point that like cat crossing the road and fox crossing the road. This is considered from right side to coming to left side. It should be considered inauspicious. That time devotee should be very careful that something going to happen wrong. You said it is okay, this is good. Then we have to be very careful. We should take shelter at holy name. Holy name also save us, but we have to be very careful that something going to happen. So that's why we have to, it is giving us a warning for become careful, Maharaj. And like Krishna killed Kaliya Sarpantar in Vrindavan, when Krishna jumped his head or tried to chastise him, that time some inauspicious thing started to happen, like blinking left eyes. This is not auspicious. It is also mentioned in the Prabhupada purport, in Bhagavatam Sulaka also. So it is indicating that something going to wrong. So we have to be very careful.
Yes. So what should we do?
We should take it holy name very seriously and chant very carefully. Take shelter at Lord's lotus feet. And
Yeah.
Lord can save us. Like Lord saved Brajavachis from this Kali Sarpantar's poison.
The Lord saved who?
Brajavachis in Vrindavan by chastising Kali Sarpantar.
Oh.
Because he poisoned a whole area.
Oh, Kaliya.
So only Krishna can save us, but Krishna giving us warning by these symptoms. There's something going to happen wrong, so you become very careful.
Yes, right. We have to be very careful, right? Sometimes we have to be very careful. We don't want to give Maya a chance to come in. Okay, text 21. The voice said, the voice from the sky says, "O Maharaj Dusmanta, a son actually belongs to his father, whereas the mother is only a container, like the skin of a bellows. According to Vedic injunctions, the father is born as the son. Therefore, maintain your own son and do not insult Shakuntala." So, unusual description is given here about the position of the father and mother. Mother is described as only a container, like the skin of a bellows. And the father is born as the son. Son is representative of the father, yeah. And the mother, they say mother is just like container. So, the voice from the sky is speaking like this about the mother and father. And then in the purport, Prabhupada said, mother is like a storekeeper, because the seed of the child is placed in her womb, but it is the father who is responsible for maintaining the son. So the Lord is maintaining everyone. Prabhupada quotes the verse, Eko Bahunam Yo Vedati Kaman, that one person is providing the needs of everyone. So the living entities are all provided for by the Father, the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada explains the little insect like the ant, and then also the elephant, they all need their food, and they all get it by the grace of Lord Krishna. So the Prabhupada said there's no overpopulation, because the father is opulent, there is no scarcity of food. And because there is no scarcity, there is no overpopulation. It's only gossip. So the living entity himself determines whether food will be supplied or not. Prabhupada gives the example. A diseased person is forbidden to eat. But that doesn't mean that there's no food. It's just the person is diseased and it's not good for him to eat until he gets his health back. So Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita, a particular type of seed is sown within the earth, and then a particular type of tree or plant grows up. So the mother is like the earth, and when there's a type of seed sown by the father, then that type of body takes birth. So this was the words of the voice from the sky, confirming that the child was actually the son of Maharaj Dusmanta. So, text 22, O King Dusmanta, he who discharges semen is the actual father, and his son saves him from the custody of Yamaraj. You are the actual procreator of this child. Indeed, Shakuntala is speaking the truth. So Shakuntala had been saying that Maharaj Dusmanta is the father, and this is his son. He conceived this child in my womb. Maharaj Dusmanta was denying, but the voice from the sky is saying to the king, you should accept your wife and child. And he quotes that the son has a duty. The son is meant to save the father from going to hell. So the son is called Putra. And he said there's a planet called Put. And if the son is a good son, he can save the father from going to hell. So it said, when there is a disagreement between the father and mother, well, we know that's quite common. Husband and wife, father and mother, they will argue, they will disagree. But when they disagree, it is the father, not the mother, who is delivered by the son. But if the wife is faithful and follows her husband, so when the father is delivered, then the mother will also be delivered. Prabhupada uses this argument to say there's no divorce in the Vedic literature. Wife is trained to be chaste and to follow her husband. This helps her achieve deliverance from any material condition. So the son saves the father from going to Yamaraj. And the Shastra never says the son saves the mother. The son doesn't save them, the son saves the father. The father is delivered, the father gives the seed. And the mother, she has to follow the husband. So husband and wife, they should not separate. If they have a child whom they raise to be a Vaishnava, he can save both the father and mother from Yamaraj and from punishment in hellish life. So the idea of family life is to have a child who you can raise to be a devotee. And if he's a good devotee, then he can save the father. And if the father is saved, then the wife, if she is chaste, she follows the husband, and she is also saved. So this is the Vedic culture. The wife has to follow to be properly protected. Okay? Is that all right, ladies? You all right with this?
Yes, Maharaj. No options.
So, yes?
So Maharaj, mother is also delivered by the son's devotional strength, because Suruchi and Suniti, Suruchi was also delivered because of Dhruva Maharaj. Suniti was delivered, Suniti was delivered.
Yes, that's right. That's a good point, Prabhu. Suniti, about Suruchi rather. Suruchi was the mother of Dhruva Maharaj, and because she had given instruction to her son about where to find God, she had actually acted like the guru, and she was the one who inspired Dhruva Maharaj to go to the forest. It was her who told Dhruva Maharaj, you know, you want something, you have to worship God, you have to pray to the Supreme Lord. And then Dhruva Maharaj asked his mother, where is he? Where will I find him? And so she said, well, a lot of people, they go to the forest. So Dhruva Maharaj said, then I will also go to the forest. So this is what happened. Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest, and of course he got success. And when he got success, or well, actually it was much later, after he'd ruled the world, and he was going back to Godhead after he'd been ruling the world for thousands of years. It came time for him to go back to Godhead. He'd gone up to Badri Ashram, he was living up in Badrinath, and he was doing tapasya there. And when the aeroplane came to take him back to Godhead. And when he got in the aeroplane, he said, wait a minute, I can't go without my mother. That my mother had inspired me in my devotion. She had given me the instruction. And he told Dhruva Maharaj, don't worry, look over there was another aeroplane, and Dhruva's mother was in the other aeroplane. He was also going in the aeroplane to the spiritual world. Right? So, the mother can also be delivered. Yeah. But usually, it's the son, and who's the representative of the father. He will save the father. Dhruva Maharaj, that was a very special situation because his mother had given very good instruction to the son. So she got delivered. Dhruva Maharaj's father probably also got delivered because he had such a great son. Maharaj Uttanapad. All right.
So Maharaj, there is no Vedic evidence about the deliverance of Koyadu, the mother of Prahlad Maharaj. Of course, Hiranyakasipu was given Brahma Jyoti, thereafter he was again Salukya, and then he returned to the spiritual world. That's fine. But is there any evidence about the deliverance of Koyadu?
No, we don't hear. What would happen to her? Maybe she's with her son, Prahlad. She's taken care of by her son. In the absence of her husband, then the son will look after the mother. So she'll be taken care of by Prahlad. Prahlad is residing, where is that place? Prahlad Maharaj has his kingdom, has his residence. They're hearing, you know, Kaya Dukit, she could be hearing the Lord's pastimes from Prahlad and the other devotees who are there with him. Prahlad Maharaj, he glorifies Lord Nrsingadev. Right? The famous verse, Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namasteja Steja Seya Vira Vir Bhava Brajanaka Brajadamstra Karma Shraya Randaya Randaya Tamo Grasa Grasa Om Swaha Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhuvishtam Om Shrom. I offer my respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Nrsingadev, whose nails and teeth are like thunderbolts. O my Lord Nrsingadev, kindly vanquish our demonic-like desires for fruitive activities. Please appear in our hearts and drive away our ignorance, so that we might become fearless in our struggle for existence in this material world. So Prahlad Maharaj, he's residing in, on this special, what is it, in where? What's it? There's a special region in Bhumandala where Prahlad Maharaj is worshipping with all the residents there, and they're worshipping Lord Nrsingadev, and they're chanting that mantra to worship Lord Nrsingadev. So Kaya Du, being the mother, she would probably be there with Prahlad Maharaj, worshipping Lord Nrsingadev. So when Maharaj Jusmanta left the body, passed away from the earth, then his son became the emperor of the world. He became the proprietor of the 7 islands. He is referred to as a partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this world. Right? He is also Bharat. His name was Bharat.
Maharaj, before we go into the next section, wondering if it's okay to ask a couple of questions.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
So Maharaj, just trying to clarify this situation between Dusmanta and Sakuntala. So their marriage was Gandharva marriage, and basically he just chanted Om, and that was sufficient. That was their marriage, basically. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's how it seems to be presented there. You know, maybe they did some other rituals, I don't know. You know, sometimes they do things like they have the woman circumambulate around the man 7 times or something, you know. Sometimes they bind their hands together. I don't know. I don't know exactly, but anyway, chanted Om. Sometimes they just change garlands, you know, they put a garland on the woman puts a garland on the man, and that's enough.
Mm-hmm. And then Maharaj, he leaves Sakuntala there, although they are married.
Yes.
So that also is a little bit kind of like, I don't say, doesn't sound like a marriage in one sense, a proper kind of marriage. Is not taking responsibility. And then thirdly, when they come to see him with the grown-up son, so then again he's like hesitant to accept them, and then it seems like he's reluctantly accepting them because it seems like there is a higher order. So it seems like Dusmanta engaged in this relationship, but then there is no responsibility, and there seems to be no punishment for it, and then his son actually is an empowered incarnation of the Lord.
Yes.
So yeah, just wondering, like, was this whole thing like an auspicious and religious union?
Yes.
And,
Yes. They did the marriage. They did some form of marriage, and they conceived the child. That's religion.
but then why didn't, if the idea was to have a child, why didn't Dushmanta accept the child?
Well, it was explained that he knew it was his child, but the people in the kingdom didn't know that, and so he thought the people in the kingdom will think, who is this woman? They haven't seen her before. They don't know anything about it. It wasn't publicly announced that he'd taken the wife and that he'd spent the night with her and conceived a child in her womb. This kind of stuff, that news was not announced. But then the omen from the voice from the sky declared it to everyone. So that was very pleasing to Maharaj Dushmanta. He was happy when that happened, because then it was proof that this was actually his wife and child. So he depended on the Lord, and you could say he depended on nature, proving to everyone that this was actually his wife and child.
But he could have just accepted them from the beginning and take them to his palace, because he did come with an entourage to this ashram.
Yes, he did. But anyway, somehow he didn't, and somehow, it was customary for people to do things like this. Like Arjuna had 4 wives, so he would spend a little time with one woman, get a child, and then go away. And then Bhima also, he had a relationship with some Rakshasi woman, and they had a son, and he didn't spend time with her all the time because he had other wives, you see. So kings like that in those days, they had several wives, And so he left that one wife there in the forest, and when she had a son, and then she comes up with this, she comes there and say, "This is your son." And so it was arranged for him to prove to everyone the voice from the sky, the omen.
Estoy haciendo otra cosa.
Nanda Kesha Prabhu, your mic is on.
Okay, so anyway, I mean, it was God conscious, because they did everything according to religious principles. They did the marriage, he accepted her as his wife, and they had union together, conceived a child, so that was good. It wasn't just an act of gross sense gratification. People today, what do? They would run off and get an abortion, and they have birth control devices and things to avoid pregnancy, and they do things like they will have union with their wife when she cannot conceive a child. They will avoid the time when she can conceive a child, and like that they don't want the child. They don't want children, but the God-conscious way is to recognize that the union between the man and the woman is meant for having a child. And that this is religious principles, to beget the child. So, yeah.
And he seemed to be prioritizing the opinions of the people rather than his own responsibility and duty.
Well, he's a king, right? So he is concerned about what the people think. He wants to prove that the people will also understand that this is actually his wife and this was his son. So the omen from the sky, the voice from the sky declared it to everyone, so they all understood. Oh, and when there's a voice from the sky, they can understand. Oh, must be very special son, very special child. And of course it was. child was very special. He grew up in the forest, he was playing with lions. And
Maharaj, also another question regarding Shakuntala. She's abandoned by Vishwamitra and Menaka.
yes.
Yeah. So just wondering, we don't hear of the consequences that Vishwamitra or Menaka has to face, because both of them are not taking responsibility for their activity for this child, and then also just naturally one can just imagine what Shakuntala must be going through, and she's speaking to the king like, oh yes, my parents both had abandoned me, but these are my parents. So yeah, for a child that's a very big thing when both biological parents are not there. And then secondly, like what happens to Vishwamitra, what happens to Menaka, like for this deed?
Well, they were not, we have to understand, these are not ordinary people. They're not just common people. You know, Menaka and Vishwamitra, they're very special people, and that child maybe wasn't exactly according to the religious principles. I don't know if Menaka and Vishwamitra ever actually married, although Vishwamitra was certainly attracted to Menaka, and of course he gave the child to Menaka, that she had a child, but their union was not exactly strictly religious principles. I don't know. I've never heard it explained that they actually married. And then, when they had the child, Menaka, she's a woman from the heavenly planets. Yes, she could have taken the child back with her to the higher planets, but she left the child on earth. She left the child for this other great sage to take care. What was his name? The yogi, the saint, living in the forest, took care of the baby and brought the child up. Certainly an act of...
Kono Muni?
Who?
Kono Muni,
Kanva, K-A-N-A.
Kanva, yes. Okay, so it was an act of great compassion to accept the child. Kanva Muni brought the child up. Vishwamitra, somehow well, of course, usually the mother's responsibility is to bring the child up, right? The Shakuntala, she'd been abandoned. The mother was Menaka. But Menaka, she's from the court of Indra. She had been sent there by Indra just to distract Vishwamitra from his austerities, to cause his fall down. It was a plot to just break the tapasya of Vishwamitra, to take him away from his great austerities. And so she did it, and she distracted him, and they had the child. But then Menaka, she doesn't want the child, she's not interested. So she just leaves the child for Providence to take care. Yes, it was certainly an unusual situation. Then this Shakuntala is the unfortunate soul. She's brought up without a mother or father. Of course, These things happen even today, you know, people will have a child, they will abandon the child, somebody else will take it, will be left somewhere. It happens. When Kunti gave birth, she put the child on a boat, she put Karna on a boat and sent it down the river. So here also, certainly better than aborting or killing the child.
Thank you much.
Okay, so we're here. Maharaj Jusmanta left the world and the son becomes the emperor. And the son is a partial representation of the personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada quotes 1041 from the Bhagavad Gita that the amshas, anyone extraordinary powerful must be considered a partial representation of the opulence of the Supreme Lord. So when the son of Maharaj Jusmanta became the emperor of the world, he was celebrated in this way. So we're told about this Maharaj Jusmanta, the different auspicious signs on his body. He had the mark of Lord Krishna's disc on the palm of his right hand. This is one way to recognize who's the actual avatars who are coming from the Lord, who are really empowered by the Lord. So Maharaj Jusmanta had the Sudarshan chakra on his palm of his right hand, and he had the mark of a lotus whorl on the soles of his feet. Very auspicious. By worshipping the Supreme Lord with a grand ritualistic ceremony, he became the emperor and master of the entire world. Then under the priesthood of Mamateya Bhrigu Muni, he performed 55 horse sacrifices on the bank of the Ganges, beginning from its mouth and ending at its source. So 55 horse sacrifices and then 78 horse sacrifices on the bank of the Yamuna, beginning from the confluence at Prayag and ending at the source. He established the sacrificial fire on an excellent site, and he distributed great wealth to the Brahmanas. Indeed, he distributed so many cows that each of thousands of Brahmanas had one B.V.V., meaning 13,084 as his share. So this is the activities of the son of Maharaj Jusmanta, whose name was Bharat. So he did many ritualistic ceremonies all over, on the banks of the Ganga and the bank of the Yamuna, and from the mouth to the source, and all these different sacrifices were performed in very distinguished places.
So Maharaj, here there is a confusion striking my mind. Yes, one Bharat was Lord Ram's brother, another Bharat was Jada Bharat Maharaj, who was the son of Rishabdev, eldest son of Rishabdev. So here this is another Bharat who is the partial representation of Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes. Yes, right. It was a popular name, right? Bharat. Right? The whole planet is named after Bharat.
So this Bharat is quite different from Bharat Maharaj, who was the son of Rishabdev.
Yes.
And who?
Different.
And who?
Yeah, different.
He became Jada Bharat.
Yes. Son of Rishabdev, yes, became Jad Bharat.
But this Bharat is quite different from them.
Oh, yes. All right, so then we're here. Everyone should do yajna. So before Kali Yuga, and before the Kali Yuga, there were good brahmanas who could do these yajnas. But now, these kind of activities are prohibited. Ashvamedam gavalamyam sannyasam palapaitrikam. Daivarena satodpatim kalo pancha vivarjayat. So, horse sacrifice and cow sacrifice are both prohibited in the Kali Yuga. Other things are also prohibited. Taking sannyas, offering oblations of flesh to the forefathers, and begetting children in the womb of one's brother's wife. So these things are not allowed in the Kali Yuga. Ashvamedha and Gomedha yagnas, impossible. No, there's not enough wealth, and there's no qualified brahmanas. So Maharaj Bharat, when he did them, he had Bhrigu Muni to take charge to do the yajna. Now, however, you could never find a brahmana like Bhrigu Muni. So, Kali Yuga, we're recommending just do Sankirtan. Yagnai Sankirtan Prae Yajantihi Sumedasaha. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's come to teach everyone to do yajna. If we don't do yajna, we'll be engaging in sinful activities. And when we do sinful activities, then we will have to suffer. So Krishna consciousness is to stop us from suffering. Teaching people to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, that is also yajna. But it's not very difficult, not like what they were doing in the previous ages. We can do our yajna anywhere, go everywhere and chant. Prabhupada said the first purpose is there must be sufficient rain. Without rain there cannot be any produce. All our necessities is produced by rain, and the earth is the original source. In this age of Kali, people all over the world should refrain from sinful activities. And they should simply do the yajna of chanting Hare Krishna. Then the earth will provide enough food grains and enough fruit, enough food for the people. And people will be happy. Economically, politically, socially, religiously and culturally, everything will be in the proper order. So Bharat Maharaj did all these horse sacrifices, and then he bound 3,300 horses for those sacrifices. And he astonished all other kings. He surpassed even the opulence of the demigods, and he achieved the supreme spiritual master, Hari. And then text 28, when Bharat Maharaj performed the sacrifice known as Mashnara, in the place known as Mashnara, he gave in charity 14 lakhs of excellent elephants with white tusks and black bodies, completely covered with golden ornaments. Unbelievable. 14 lakhs of excellent elephants. 1 lakh means 100,000, so 14 lakhs means 1,400,000 excellent elephants with white tusks and black bodies, covered with golden ornaments. And then he gave them in charity. I don't know who he gave them in charity to. Doesn't tell you. So we cannot imitate the wonderful activities of Maharaj Bharat, just as we cannot approach the heavenly planets simply by our hands. No one could perform such activities in the past, nor will anyone be able to do so in the future. When Maharaj Bharat was on tour, he defeated or killed all the Kiratas, Huns, Yavanas, Pundras, Kankas, Kashas, Shakas, and the kings who were opposed to the Vedic principles of Brahminical culture. So these different races are all mentioned in the prayers of Sukadeva Goswami. He mentions these different races: Kirita, Hunandra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abira, Shumba, Yavana, Kashadaya. So different people of these different sinful races. He said they can all be delivered by the mercy of a devotee. So here we're told Maharaj Bharat, when he was on tour, he either defeated or killed them. Anybody who opposed the Vedic principles, then he would fight them and defeat them and kill them. And then, formerly, after conquering the demigods, all the demons had taken shelter in the lower planetary system known as Rasatala, and had brought all the wives and daughters of the demigods there also. Maharaj Bharat, however, rescued all those women, along with their associates, from the clutches of the demons. So this is another pastime of Bharat Maharaj, that the demons had taken the wives and daughters of the demigods down to their Rasatala in the lower region of the universe. So Maharaj Bharat rescued all these women along with their associates. He saved them all from the clutches of the demons. He went there to Rasatala and brought them out from that place. Then text 32, Maharaj Bharat provided all necessities for his subjects, both on this earth and in the heavenly planets, for 27,000 years. He circulated his orders and distributed his soldiers in all directions. So 27,000 years he did this. So this must have been Satya Yuga, because it's only in Satya Yuga. Treta Yuga, they didn't live so long, did they? Treta Yuga lived 10,000 years. Satya Yuga lived 100,000 years. So we're told that Bharat Maharaj, he was ruling the earth and the heavenly planets for 27,000 years. That's steady service, to do service for that long, a long time, you know. Must have been a very reliable, dependable person, provided for everyone, took care of everyone's needs. There was no scarcity, no hunger, no problem. Everyone was happy. Then we're told, as ruler of the entire universe, Emperor Bharat had the opulences of a great kingdom and unconquerable soldiers. His sons and family had seemed to him to be his entire life. But finally, he thought of all this as an impediment to spiritual advancement, and therefore he ceased from enjoying it. So Maharaj Bharat renounced. You see, just like we heard yesterday about Yayati, how he renounced towards it. He accepted his old age, gave up his youth, accepted old age, and convinced his wife also. They both renounced. So here Bharat Maharaj, after ruling the world for so long, he's getting ready to renounce everything. He understood that all this kind of endeavors, great kingdoms and opulences, they're just an entanglement, they're an impediment to spiritual advancement. So he stopped enjoying it all. He had so much opulence, his soldiers, his sons and daughters, everything for material enjoyment. But he realized that all such opulence was useless for spiritual advancement. So he retired from material enjoyment. In other words, he took vanaprast. All right? Text 34. We're told about King Bharat. He had 3 pleasing wives. 3 wives who were daughters of the king of Vidarbha. When all 3 of them bore children who did not resemble the king, these wives thought that he would consider them unfaithful queens and reject them, and therefore they killed their own sons. Oh, so that's very shocking, of course, statement to read like that the women killed their own sons just because they thought if our husband thinks that these children are not his, that our husband will think we've been unfaithful to him. So they didn't want their husband thinking that the queens have been unfaithful.
Maharaj, sorry, before we go ahead, is it okay to just one question about the previous section?
Okay.
So we have Maharaj Bharat doing these sacrifices, 55 once and then 78 afterwards. So he's come to the point where he's done more than 100 horse sacrifices. And we know 100 is a critical number because Indra gets agitated, and it means one naturally can claim the position of Indra. So in this case, Indra, we don't hear anything of Indra. Whereas Prithu Maharaj is also an empowered incarnation of the Lord. And as soon as he was approaching 100, then Indra was doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things to try to stop Prithu Maharaj from going further. So just wondering your thoughts on this. We don't hear anything of Indra's position, Indra, anything like this in this particular case.
Yeah, we don't hear. Well, you see, Bharat Maharaj was doing the yagyas in different places, but Prithu Maharaj was doing the yagyas all in the one place. He was not moving around, he was just in one place. But Bharat Maharaj was moving, first on the banks of the Ganga, from the mouth up to another, along the banks, along the whole length of the Ganga and the Yamuna, different places. And Bharat Maharaj has Bhrigu there as a priest. So Bhrigu is quite senior man, so maybe Indra didn't bother too much about it. They thought, Bharat's he's a king, but he's not interested in getting Indra's position. He's got more opulence than the demigods as it is. So he had more opulence than it is. No reason to get the demigod's position, because the demigods they're not equal to him. He's more powerful than the demigods. So why should he doesn't have to worry about it? And so Indra knows he's defeated, that this king is more powerful than they. But he doesn't want Indra's position. That's how I see it.
Thank you much.
But here, this is shocking how the three of them, and each bore a child, and they each killed their child because they were afraid to be considered unfaithful. What does it tell us about the relationships between the king and what kind of king is it, First of all, would the king actually do like that? Would he, because the children don't resemble the king, that he would consider his wives to be unfaithful? Anyway,
on that point,
yeah?
I was thinking about on this point, it also shows, I guess, the position of women as well during that time, that, if their chastity was brought into question, or, even Queen Kunti gave up her baby because she couldn't have a baby outside of marriage. It just shows that, society really maybe did point a lot of fingers at women back then, the importance of chastity. So, they thought it greater to commit this sin of killing their